Welcome to Coach Eichner's Math. Today we'll be talking about rectangles. Rectangles are a parallelogram with four right angles. So, go ahead and mark our right angles here. Parallelogram with four right angles. Now I can mark these two and know that consecutive angles, because it's a parallelogram, are supplementary. And because they're supplementary, they have to add up to 180 degrees, which means it also is 90 degrees. Because a rectangle is a special type of parallelogram, it has all of the properties of a parallelogram. All of the properties of a parallelogram. However, the diagonals of a rectangle have additional special relationships. So, we know that number 1 through 5 on our properties have not changed. Opposite sides are still parallel. Opposite sides are still congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are still supplementary, which means that they add up to 180 degrees, and diagonals still bisect each other. The additional things that we know is that all four angles are right angles, and we know that the diagonals are congruent. So, not only are they bisected, where I can say the pieces are congruent, I can also turn around and say that, let me go ahead and label this A, B, C, D. I can go ahead and say that AC equals BD. And that's just one more added bonus. We know now not only are the pieces congruent, but the whole diagonal is congruent to the other diagonal. So, let's put this to use. Looking down at example number 1, quadrilateral MNOP is a rectangle. MO is 2x minus 8. So we'll go ahead and write 2x minus 8. And NP is 23. So I'm just going to write 23 down here, knowing that it goes all the way across. Find the value of x. This is what we just talked about. MO equals NP because the diagonals are congruent. So MO is 2x minus 8. NP is 23. Go ahead and do a little algebra. Add 8 to both sides. 2x would have to be 31, or x would be 15.5. Going ahead and flip on over. Looking on at example number 2. Example number 2, quadrilateral JKLM is a rectangle. If LP is 3x plus 7, 3x plus 7, and MK is 26, so that says MK 26. What do we know about X? Well, let's go ahead and take a second and look at it. LP is half. Now what I know is I know that all four pieces are congruent because this is the midpoint and the pieces are congruent to each other. So half of 26 would equal LP, which is 3x plus 7. Or I could say 13 equals 3x plus 7. Do a little algebra. Say 6 equals 3x, or x equals 2. Example number 3. Quadrilateral ABCD is a rectangle. AC, the whole distance, is 4x minus 13. And DP is x plus 7. So this is where they say AC, 4x minus 13. And then they tell me that DP is x plus 7. Now notice one of them is a whole distance, the other one is half. So therefore I'm going to say half of AC equals DP. Or half of 4x minus 13 equals x plus 7. So 2x minus 6.5 equals x plus 7. Subtract x from both sides. Add 6.5 to both sides. We're going to say x, that'll cancel, equals 13.5. All right, let's look down at example number 4. Now this is what we call an angle chaser. So things are about to start getting complicated, but not as complicated as you may think. As we're looking at this, the measure of angle 1 is 70 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and write in 70 degrees. And the measure of angle 7 is 20 degrees. Now, the way I like to do angle chasers is I start with my properties. I'm going to start up here on property number 1. Opposite sides are parallel. Does the fact that my sides are parallel help me solve any of these problems? As I look at it, these lines are parallel, which means that they share this transversal. So angle 1 and angle 5 would be alternate interior angles. So this must be 70 degrees. At the same time, angle KN, side KN and side LM are parallel, so they share the transversal KM. And I've got 7 and 3, so 3 must also be 20 degrees. That is, at this time, all I can talk about with my parallel lines. So let's look on, and we're saying, number 1, opposite sides parallel. We've answered all we can answer from that. Opposite sides are congruent. Well, in this case, we're not talking about sides, we're talking about angles, so I don't need to look at that one. Opposite angles are congruent. Let's look at this for a second. Opposite angles are congruent. Well, we know that all 4 angles have to add up to 90, because that's one of our special rules. So there's nothing really special I can talk about here. Consecutive angles are supplementary. Again, rectangle, nothing special I can talk about there. Diagonals bisect each other, doesn't help me. So I can move on. 4 right angles. So I'm going to move this back. Looking at it, I've got 4 right angles. Right angle means 90 degrees. So if I say 90, let me go ahead and get that on the paper, minus 20, I get 70. If I say 90 minus 70, I get 20. So it makes sense that angle 8 is 70. It makes sense that angle 2 is 20. Oh, I already had that. I just had not marked it yet. Oh, I missed. Angle 3 is what I messed up marking. There we go. Sorry for the confusion. I already knew angle 3 by our parallel lines. So looking down here, angle 4 must be 70. Angle 6 then must be 20. Now, angle 9 and angle 10. We know these are vertical angles. We know that they're going to be congruent to each other. But our problem is 9 and 10, we don't have any special rules to help us. So let's look at our triangle real quickly and notice that I can cover up everything but one triangle worth. If I say triangle CLM, I know right now that that's a triangle. And I know that any triangle has a total of 180 degrees. So I can say 180 degrees minus angle 2 and angle 3, which is 20 and 20, which is 40, gives me 140 degrees left. So angle 10 has to be 140 degrees and angle 9 has to be 140 degrees because they are vertical angles. So 9 is 140, 10 is 140. And just as easy, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and talk about my linear pair. If I go ahead and lay my marker down, angle 9 and the angle right next to it, the angle adjacent, would make 180 degrees because it's a line. So we could also call this 40 degrees and this 40 degrees, which should also work with your triangle. 70, 70, and 40 is 180. So know that you'll be getting these, and the best way to do it is to work down your list of properties to help yourself out the best way possible. Appreciate you watching Coach Eichner's Math, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.